This is the fifth estate-winning headlines, your media police post, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Photo School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 1st of December 2022, and I am 2M.
I'm AX.
And I am 2J. And in case you missed today's headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, Ruto reads his bickering CS's The Riot Act. The Standard, hustle game changer. In the Star, phone lines busy as millions dash for hustler cash.
Yep.
Nice rhyme. And the People Daily, Ruto, hustler fund is not free lunch. All right.
So today I want to talk about the Hustler Fund. Yesterday, former Mandera Senator Bill Okero said that the Hustler Fund is nothing more than state-run Fuliza. And there is some truth to his statement. Even though the Hustler Fund is intended to support MSMEs with startup loans and microloans, right now it is only the personal finance option that is available. And 24 hours after the launch, 1.14 million Kenyans had borrowed over 408 million shillings in personal finance loans. Assuming that each Kenyan that applied got a loan, this amounts to roughly 350 shillings per person. So yes, the Hustler Fund may be nothing more than glorified Fuliza loans. But there is one key difference between Fuliza and the Hustler Fund. Instead of owing Safaricom or some multinational corporation money, under the Hustler Fund you owe the government. And this fact alone is the central element that Kerau and his critics are dismissing in their understanding of the Hustler Fund. The Hustler Fund is not just about supporting hustlers. It is about affirming the social contract between government and hustlers. Now, a social contract is a real or hypothetical agreement within a state regarding the rights and responsibilities of the state and its citizens. It works like this. The government promises to respect and uphold our natural rights and develop country. And in exchange, the citizens agree to be governed. When a government cannot live up to its promises, the social contract is broken and revolution is inevitable. Right now, Kenya's social contract is tenuous and shaky at best. Many have lost faith in government's ability to protect their interests and keep them safe. And when government doesn't hold up its end of the bargain, the people don't feel like they should hold up their end either. They no longer respect laws or government, hence rising rates of crime. To stop this from happening, the president must reaffirm the social contract. President Moi did that when he expanded university education. President Kibaki affirmed the social contract when he launched free primary school education and revived the economy. For President Uhuru Kenyatta, he followed suit when he launched projects like Linda Mama and oversaw the implementation of devolution. And now, President Ruto has the Hustler Fund. With the Hustler Fund, Ruto has told country that the government has your back. Instead of leaving Kenyans at the mercy of private companies, he has provided Kenyans with a solution. Where Fuliza charges a minimum of 2% daily interest, the Hustler Fund charges a daily interest of 0.002%. This is an interest rate 1,000 times lower than what private lenders offer. The Hustler Fund also encourages Kenyans to save 5% of their loan. Private lenders do not. But will this be enough to keep Kenya's social contract intact? Incidentally, of Ruto's predecessors, President Kibaki's reforms are remembered the most fondly. And yet, rather ironically, it was under his presidency that Kenya's social contract snapped. This is the warning. Social contracts are not cast in stone, but are living and breathing testaments of human intentions and promises. Unless carefully navigated, sometimes they are not enough. So we ask again, will the Hustler Fund be enough to preserve Kenya's shaky social contract? The Hustler Fund represents less than 1% of the government budget. Technically, it is 0.0166% of the budget. And with this tiny amount, Ruto has been able to affirm his vision of the social contract. But what is Ruto's plan for the remaining 99.98%? How will Ruto use it to fully restore faith in the Kenya Kwanza government that has been inward-looking while people are just plain hungry? Ultimately, negativity gets us nowhere. So in the spirit of optimism, we must choose to see the Hustler Fund as a sign of better things to come.
Absolutely.
Have you guys received your Hustler Fund limits?
I didn't apply for one.
I'm still waiting to find out what I'm worth according to the Hustler government.
Yeah, you know, I saw today that President William Ruto qualifies for 2,200 shillings. Rigathi Gachagua, he qualifies for 1,600 shillings, and Musalia Mudavadi qualifies for 2,600 shillings. I'm wondering where Rigathi's was 1,600.
We shall not speculate. Okay, so in Uhuru Kenyatta's final speech to the nation on the 15th of September, he invited country to consider the following.
In particular, this civic duty requires every citizen to constantly put the truth presented by our constitutional institutions to test. And they must test them for coherence, but also for correspondence. They must constantly scrutinize the coherence of the truth given by these institutions, and to ask themselves whether the truth has been coherent from one election to another. Has there been a consistent pattern that is acceptable to our democratic ethos?
This was in relation to the disputed election results. But today, we want to apply this thought to the state of affairs to the offices of the DPP and DCI. Now, this test for coherence and correspondence asks us to question whether the actions of these two institutions have been coherent from administration to administration. Is there a consistent pattern with the job done by Kinoti then, Kome now, and Haji along the way? Next, we ask if their actions correspond with what is observable by the public. Are the things that they say and do matching with reality on the ground? Now, on one hand, we are being told that justice is for the rich and powerful, while the law is for the poor and opposition. 2 months ago, Rigathi Gachagua was on trial for acquiring 200 billion shillings. Now his case has been dropped and he's deputy president. Meanwhile, the same fate has visited Raphael Tuju, whose estate is now up for auction while he's an Azimio member without portfolio. DPP and DCI are at the center of these cases, the only difference being the current head of state. We must ask, therefore, has their truth been coherent from one administration to another? Now, unfortunately, the answer to this two-pronged test is no. There has been no coherence and no correspondence in the transition from Uhuru Kenyatta to William Ruto. Did Kinoti and Haji bring false charges against politicians because it was under pressure from the last government? Or are Kome and Haji dropping genuine charges against politicians because they are under pressure from the present government? Now, allow us to use the murder of Tob Cohen as a timely example. What was the original sin? Did DCI fail to conduct a solid investigation, or did DPP rush to prosecute a case without legs? In 2019, when Cohen's body was found, Kinoti moved swiftly to arrest Sarah Wairimu. But Haji was stalling and failing to prosecute. 3 years later, the case has been dropped and Kinoti has resigned. The question is this: did Kinoti's story correspond with reality, and was it coherent? Lawyer Philip Murgo contends that it was not, and that this is the basis of the case withdrawal. Now, here at the Fifth Estate, we are in possession of some documents that suggest maybe the DPP was not wrong on this, showing that Kinoti's version of events does not correspond with reality. And this is why Sarah Cohen is free today. But my question is this: does the country believe this story? Do they find that the truth has been incoherent from one administration to the next? That the recent string of dropping cases is all about politics, not justice? This is a UDA government, after all. But will Ruto govern at the expense of public confidence? That's what I want to know.
Lovely questions, lovely questions. And I want to ask you too, Jay. Look, when the DPP preferred charges on Sarah Rimo and her co-accused, DPP relies on a threshold of evidence to prefer charges.
Collected from DCI.
Collected from DCI. Or what I mean from the police. And he would ask the police or DCI to investigate. And should there be a threshold that is sufficient enough to prefer charges, then DPP goes ahead and prefers charges. Question is, why did he prefer charges then, which he was going to retract now? You get where I'm coming from?
I get what you're saying.
And basically what I'm saying is, if every file that DCI Kinoti gave to DPP could be, problematic, then it might as well be then DPP should then withdraw all cases that DCI gave to him until they are reviewed. Because there seems to be a systematic narrative being built that DCI gave malfunctioned file cases to DPP. But that notwithstanding, today I'd like to take a step back and ask country if we've underestimated Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And I ask this because we have repeatedly said that if Rigathi goes head-to-head with Ruto, Ruto will politically vanquish him. And because here at the Photo School of Government, we dissect politicians the way a biologist dissects frogs. I feel country has not studied Rigathi sufficiently. And here's why. If Ruto and Uhuru are boarding and day students at the Moi School of Politics, then Rigathi is a founding member of the Moi School of Politics. 2J, you gave me that. We say this because amongst all three, Rigathi was the first to work under Moi. He has clocked more years under Moi than Ruto and Uhuru. In fact, Rigathi is the first deputy president or vice president to work directly for three presidents. In the late 80s, he worked for Moi as a student leader. And in the early 90s, as a DO based in Harambee House. In the late 90s, he worked for Uhuru Kenyatta as his personal assistant. And now his boss is William Ruto. Put differently, if Ruto joined Moi in the mid-90s and Uhuru joined in the late 90s, Rigathi began his dance with power in the late 80s. He has been at it for almost 40 years. Take note, Rigathi is also 1 year older than Ruto. But there's more. Arab Moi had 4 political sons. Uhuru Kenyatta 1, William Ruto 2, Musalia Mudavadi 3, and Rigathi Gachagua 4. Of the 4 sons, Uhuru and Ruto have made it. Musalia has tried and failed. Rigathi, on the other hand, is a heartbeat away from the presidency. And if Moi told us Kanu would rule us for 100 years, it is because he knew his 4 political sons would succeed him at some point. And if Kikuyus and Kalenjins will keep alternating the presidency, then Rigathi is your next president. After all, Ruto has showed us how a deputy president can become president. What's my point here? If Rigathi has worked for 3 presidents for nearly 40 years, he must surely know how to be president. If Rigathi was Ruto's parallel deep state in the 2022 election campaign, why shouldn't he use the same machinery to prop himself and become president? But more importantly, if Rigathi as deputy president inherits Gema 6 million voting bloc post-2027, then only God can stop him from being president. In any case, if a plant scientist, a teacher, a meter reader, come anthropologist can become president, why shouldn't a political scientist become one? Underestimate Rigathi at your own risk.
Wow. And maybe he's actually instigating this underestimating persona.
Absolutely.
Right? I think he may know very well what he's doing. There's a video doing its rounds of Rigathi yesterday at the Hustler Fund launch, eating some maize and looking quite, he doesn't look very stately, if we could just make it very frank. But I think there was something to it. I think he did it on purpose.
It was choreographed. He was eating in front of the cameras. All the cameras were lying there. He was wearing a green jacket, a green shirt, eating maize like that. He knew, and this is exactly what Boris Johnson used to do.
That's true.
He would mess around with his hair. He'd open up his umbrella and it would go the opposite way. And the press would make fun of him.
He would feign stupidity. Maybe there's something to it.
That endeared the people to him, and that's what Rigathi is doing.
That's true. All right, so on that note, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines by. We ask ourselves, is the headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and finally, thoughtful or just plain lazy? In the Daily Nation, Ruto has read the Riot Act to his bickering CSs. Here he's reminding them to work as one team. I think that is after a lot of the squabbles and double speak in his government. I think we toss that. I don't think we really care about their bickering.
Absolutely.
In the Standard, hustle game changer. I think this headline is a given.
Yeah, I mean,
Quite boring.
he's also lazy. I mean, he could have come up with something else.
Something better. Toss the Standard. In the Star, phone lines busy as millions dash for hustler cash.
Very descriptive.
I didn't know that there was a phone line. I shall be calling it tonight to ask where my limit is. And in the People Daily, Ruto, hustler fund is not free lunch. Tuam, what do you think about that headline?
I think I love it, but I think we should remove the word not. And it should read, Ruto, hustler fund is free lunch.
Yeah.
Look, if we've submitted, Eileen, you're telling us that 402 million has been dispersed
Yes.
to 1.6 million people. That is 350 shillings.
Yes.
What can you start with 350? What business can you start? You cannot even start selling chapatis. But anyway, I think William Ruto knew this. And this, as you said, 2J yesterday, is a stimulus package. This is a Christmas stimulus package.
Yes, it is.
You encourage Kenyans to take up this money.
And perfect. What a great gift for the 1st of December.
Absolutely, take it. And
right.
This is stimulus package. The economy today will boom like a nonsense.
Okay, so there we have it. The People Daily, amended by the 5th Estate, gives us our winning headline. Hustler Fund is free lunch.
Yes.
On to the political pieces that we call cartoons, where we also have a 3-part criteria. We ask ourselves, are the cartoons humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, and effective or just plain lazy? I want us to start with the Daily Nation.
Okay, so in today's cartoon, we have 2 Kenyans that are shackled by debt. One is caused by Fuliza, and the other one is caused by the Hustler Fund.
Yep.
Now, if you notice, the little ball and chain that's attached to the Hustler Fund has yellow flowers. Very cognizant there. Now, the cartoon seems to imply that there's no difference between the two, and that both forms of loans will plunge Kenyans into debt, which...
Yeah. Also, the application of the yellow flowers on the Hustler Fund debt, right? Yellow, of course, for UDA. But the yellow got me thinking about how you may cover something with flowers to avoid looking at what's beyond. And it got me thinking of the phrase, wearing rose-colored glasses, which talks about a happy, positive attitude that fails to notice negative things, leading to a view of life that is not realistic.
Beautiful.
So that's what I thought of this, the application of this cartoon.
I could not agree more, but there's something Dula has missed. This Hustler Fund is a game changer, and here is why. When you do Fuliza and Tala and this branch things, there is an algorithm that actually says whether you qualify for a loan or not. Here, everybody starts from tabula rasa. You can access this 500 shillings. Anybody, even a chokora, who can access 500 bob. You know, and also who was giving the interest rate thing, that is this 1,000% less. That is a game changer. And what is wrong with it even looking like Fuliza? There's nothing wrong.
All right, I say let's park that cartoon while we look at the Star, which also is another Hustler Fund related cartoon.
Absolutely, it's a cartoon of many smartphones there, all lining up in front of a big Hustler Fund, the yellow toll booth, and these are coins, I believe, and the Hustler Fund, I think that is Ruto, and he's given us a stimulus package, and I think I like it, and all the phones are beeping.
Yeah, no, everybody is getting in line for it. I think they said it was 190 applications per second in the first 24 hours.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll park that while we look at the Standard, and this today is from Kaso. Here we have a cartoon caricature of Death. And Death is sitting on a lawn chair with their feet in a bucket of water. And a fan is blowing cool air in their face, but it's not enough. Death is also fanning their face with a paper. The ground is dry. You have a city behind, cut trees. And the caption there is, how can Earth be hotter than hell? Okay, I'm not really sure if there's any relevant context here, but I think we all know that COP27 finished in Egypt a few days ago, where a lot of the world's leaders affirmed promises to reduce climate change effects. There was also the initiation of the Climate Fund, which is money that will go to countries that don't directly contribute to all of the, the rising global temperature,
Carbon
but end up
emissions.
having all
deal
the
with the
negative risks
consequences.
of it. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's an alright cartoon.
It's a nonsense cartoon.
just
A
not
lack
relevant.
of context.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suggest that we toss the
Toss it.
Standard.
Yeah.
Would we toss the Star or keep the Star, toss the Daily Nation?
I think we keep the Star, toss the
The
Daily
Star,
Nation.
yeah.
All right, there we go. We have a winning cartoon from the Star and a winning headline amended by the Chief the State, sorry, from the People Daily. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on your TV screens. We're on Pang Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. Have a fantastic evening. Happy 1st of December.
God bless.